Now, African Union and Somali government troops have recaptured one of al-Shabab's last strongholds and an important source of revenue. The operation in the Somali coastal town has now cleared Barawe of al-Shabab fighters. The armed group had controlled the port town since 2008. Well, the joint offensive by the African Union and Somali forces was launched against al-Shabab in March. Although the armed group has been in control of several of Somalia's major towns and cities, it's been on the retreat in recent years. The group was forced out of the capital Mogadishu in August 2011. The next major blow was the loss of the port of Kismayo in September 2012. The fighters used to be paid a percentage of the town's lucrative charcoal trade. In the same year, they retreated from the town of Baidoa after an assault by Ethiopian and Somali troops. The region's main road leads to Mogadishu and parts of Kenya. But al-Shabab still controls much of rural Somalia, as well as transport routes connecting government-held towns. Well, let's go to Catherine Soy now, who's been travelling with African Union troops. Catherine, so what's the latest with the operation around Barawe and what more has been happening there?
Darren, we just came back to the AMISOM base. We've been here since 2 hours ago, and Barawe basically remains quiet. Security forces, special forces are going through buildings, looking for elements of al-Shabaab and explosive devices as well. So earlier when we were in Barawe, the new administration, AMISOM and Somalia National Army leaders met with the civilians. There are a few of them trying to build their confidence. There's still a lot of fear. We tried to talk to several of them and they were very afraid, saying that some of al-Shabaab fighters have blended into the civilian population, and that is what is very concerning, because they could carry out attacks. There are also fears that there could be snipers. That's why the special forces are being extra careful, going from door to door, making sure that that city is safe, Darren.
And I mean, has al-Shabaab been putting up any resistance at all? And if they fled, where have they gone?
They haven't really put up much of a resistance in Barawe. There's been a lot of resistance along the way, but in Barawe they more or less retreated. They left a couple of days ago. We're hearing that they use the sea, a lot of movement at sea. Boats that we're told that were heading towards the south, further south, to another key stronghold of theirs called Barawe. Called Juba, called in Middle Juba. This stronghold is called Jilib. That's where they've been seen heading to that. But there has been minimal resistance. We spoke to the Brigadier General who's leading the Ugandan forces in this offensive, and he told us when they were entering Barawe at the western side, they faced some resistance, some probing shots, but then not much resistance. When they entered the town, they fired some warning shots as well. These are the AMISOM troops. They fired some warning shots, just warning anyone who could be trying to do something. But in Barawe itself, Darren, no serious resistance.
Catherine, just a final thought from you. You've been travelling with the AU-backed troops now for a few days. What's their morale like? Do they think they can beat al-Shabaab?
They're very confident. We've been coming with them. The morale is very high. They've been taking all this territory. They've been taking all these towns and villages with very little resistance. Even the places where they're getting heavy resistance, they're managing to push al-Shabaab back. And this is a major victory for them, taking Barawe. It was one of the biggest strongholds, the main port. It was their economic hub as well as their logistical center, the port that they used to bring in fighters and weapons as well. It's very rich in agriculture. They used to tax the people as well. So losing Barawe really for al-Shabaab is a big loss, and that's why the confidence is being felt so much here, because they're saying if they can take Barawe with so little resistance, then there's nowhere else they can't take. Now the Kenyans further south are also about to start advancing towards the other port cities, port towns like Kodai that al-Shabaab uses to export charcoal. So the mood is very upbeat. Everyone, all the forces, Somalia National Army, AMISOM troops, they're all saying that very soon they're going to take all the territory that al-Shabaab is still holding.